I kind of have a
Thank you.
controversial question, and I want to get your thoughts on this.
Ooh, a controversial question.
Ooh, my specialty.
Getting heated up.
There we go.
Well, what's your thought when people say that Jews have no claim to Israel? As
Well, that's not so
they-
controversial. That's not so controversial. All right, so Israel doesn't belong to the Jews. Israel belongs to anyone who keeps Torah. That's what the Torah says. The Torah says that Israel, he calls even Gerim, he says that Israel are strangers working my land. So if tomorrow every Japanese person wanted to start keeping Torah and came down here to convert, they would replace all ethnic Jews who founded the state of Israel. I mean, Israel was founded as communist, atheistical country, not a religious one. Then later on, religious people started coming. But the founders, the pioneers, were atheists. Golda Meir was an atheist. She was very anti-religion. She would spit on religious people. Like most people don't, but they idealize these people and they're enemies of God. As it exists nowadays, there are a lot of religious people who live in Israel. And the religious Zionists I know, the hilltop settlers, they are there because they're optimistic that they're going to try to make the country religious. They're not necessarily tolerating secular people as part of their country. I mean, to the point that they almost started their own country in the West Bank called the Kingdom of Judea. And these are the guys. I was also a settler for 5 years. I lived in Kohava Shachar. Then I left because I felt that like religiously, I don't see hope for Israel, unfortunately. I mean, it's a very secular country. And people don't know that. If you don't leave Jerusalem, you would think Israel is completely religious. Right when you get to the bus station in Tel Aviv, you see like there's pork hanging from the windows, you know, because Russians love their pork. So yeah, Israel belongs to Torah keepers and not just anyone who happens to have a Jewish pedigree.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you for the questions. Love having you. Come back.
This is my first time actually being on here. I watched a few of you guys' streams.
Excellent. Rabbi, you want to promote your link where people could find you if they like what you hear? What they hear?
TorahJudaism.com. But just go to YouTube and just type in my name. And we have over, I think, probably like 1,000 classes already.
Beautiful, beautiful.
That's how we do it.
I hate to be that guy and push one more in.
Sure, no.
Yeah, sure.
How does somebody go about finding somebody for, forgive my butchered pronunciation, a Hasafat Dam Brit?
A Hatafat Dam Brit. The process that they poke your penis when you're already circumcised and you come to convert. So most people who convert you will do it right there. That's it. No matter who converts you. It's a quick thing. It's a lot quicker than an actual circumcision. And that's the ideal. The ideal is to move into an Orthodox community and get the most recognized conversion possible. But that day, they'll do it. They'll take a drop of blood out, and that's it. I mean, that's not necessarily so much of a requirement, by the way. There's a debate in the Talmud if that's even necessary. Now, clearly, you have to be circumcised, but this is if someone's already circumcised. But there's a debate. Some people say you should do it. But the practice nowadays is to do it nowadays.
All right, thank you.
All right. Anyone else chime in? Anyone got any good questions? Or maybe pithy statements? Anything?
Well, I think the rabbi already answered my statement because I was going to ask him, you know, what did he think about these uber Orthodox Jewish folk that say you have to be able to trace your lineage to David and you can only marry other Jewish people and you know, people of that ilk. Because I've actually been exposed to people that say that numerous occasions. You know, you've got to be able to trace your lineage to David. You got to be you can only marry Jewish folk, and I've actually had people, you know, say this to me. And what do you think about that?
But there's very few Jews that are like that, though, that say that, you know, they don't allow converts and you have to be a pure blood and stuff like that, right? That's not that popular, is it?
I've never heard of the David thing. There's two tribes nowadays, or there's one tribe with a subgroup within it that people make a big deal about, and that's Levi. Like if you're from Levi, whether you're a Cohen or from the tribe of Levi, those are people who claim to have knowledge of their pedigree. King David, there are a few rabbis who claim to be from King David, like the Lubavitch Rebbe claimed to be, the Rambam claimed to be. So many people, well, Hillel also claimed to be. There's an idea that Hillel was through David by his mother, not by his father, and which I guess like shoots down the Lubavitch Rebbe's claim because he claims to be by David through Hillel. This is according to the letter of Rosh Gaon. I guess no one really knows. But that's one way to trace a lineage back. if you're able to trace your lineage back to a famous rabbi in the Middle Ages, and that rabbi claims to be descendant of King David, then that's how you would know if you're from King David. But it's seen more in the Sephardi world than in the Ashkenazi world. Sephardi Jews are very superstitious. And I remember a friend of mine was Egyptian, and he married a convert, and his family excommunicated him. It's not only just Assyrians. I mean, Syrians in particular are not pro-convert. They won't marry you like if you don't have a Jewish pedigree. Now, clearly, you can't prove all these things, but this practice by the Syrians was created in 1905. Half these Syrians are probably all converts, anyways, from before that.
I think it actually dovetails along with the Muslims, because there's a lot of uber Orthodox Muslims that do the same thing, and they say, oh well, you got to be able to trace your lineage back to Muhammad, and you know you've got to be dedicated to the Book of the Sword, and you know, and you've got to be uber Orthodox Muslim and all this stuff. So maybe there's a tie-in somewhere along those lines.
That's not true. Nobody says you have to trace your lineage back to Muhammad. Sometimes they care about like what caste or tribe you're from, but nobody says you have to trace your lineage back to Muhammad.
Well, there was a bunch of American Muslims that went to the Middle East for Ramadan, I believe it was. It was a Muslim holiday, and a bunch of them got killed, and the rest were beaten. And it took the police to actually escort the rest of the American Muslims out, and they had to leave. They had to leave.
I don't know if I really believe these kind of stories that the media tells you, but okay, whatever you say. But the bottom line is that when you marry a Muslim, in some countries, tribe and caste matters. In some countries, it doesn't. Sometimes they don't like converts, sometimes they do. But converts are much more accepted in Islam than it is in Judaism. In Christianity, converts are much more accepted. Judaism gives the hardest time to converts than any other religion. I'll say that much.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. Not as a rule. They do it because they have to do tshuva, but the Torah elevates anyone who comes to.
The convert thing is even biblical. I was doing a study on Pinchas, and I know you don't like Rashi, and I know you don't like some of the commentators though, Rav, but they bring it up that when the Israelites were mocking Pinchas, and they were saying that he was that the Torah have to emphasize that he's actually a son of Aaron, because the Israelites would say, well, he's just descended from Yithro, he's a descendant from a goy, a pagan. He's this is why he acts this way. And the Torah, and so there's the commentator. I think it's Rashi that intervenes and say that no, he's a son of Aaron. He's a real zealot for Hashem. He's a real convert. So I mean, we see these stories all the time. It's never going to end. I mean, even King David. In King David's time,
but it's not in the Torah. That's the thing,
right? I'm just saying that, but these stories. But I'm saying the stories of people who come into Israel are treated like absolute garbage by born Jews. I mean, that's just a fact, even from the Bible. I mean, Aaron Rav, the people that Moses converted, are treated like garbage as well. I mean, it's just you're never going to get the end of it, right? You're never going to hear the end.
Well, I think from birth people are I mean, they're cool and everything, but converts are interesting and very they bring their own I guess the word is pizzazz into the Jewish world,
the flavor.
Right, especially when they bring their culture or whatever into Judaism. I'll give you an example. This is probably a bad example, but I heard about a Japanese convert, and she became Jewish, and she became a Japanese kosher chef. So that's not the best example, but it's one example of a convert that brought her culture into Judaism and incorporated it. She's a very famous Japanese kosher chef now. She writes cookbooks. So you can bring you don't have to totally disown your past. Some converts try to disown their past and let go of it and not let it enter. You can embrace it, and
I don't tell anyone I convert anymore. When I meet people new, I don't ever bring it up to people anymore, because
but John, you don't make it part of your Jewish self. It's a beautiful part of you.
When I was converting, during the process, I was everything I said, everything I did, didn't matter how small, how little. I was second guessed, ridiculed, mocked. I mean, you say that converts bring their own flavor. I definitely brought my own flavor, but I never felt like that was an embracing thing about me. Like, oh wow, he's a unique snowflake. Let's oh, that's awesome. It was always, oh, he's he's a unique snowflake. You get what I'm saying? So
But see,
maybe I had a different.
and I've also been ostracized because I'm an ex-Muslim and I'm this and I'm that. But you know what? I fought hard against that, and I'm very proud of who I am. And you know, excuse my French, but fuck them. Screw them.
Amen.
If they don't like you, to hell with them. Like I live in an ultra-Orthodox community that is the most unaccepting community in probably all of New York. But you know what? To hell with them. If they don't like me, it ain't the end of the world. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It ain't the end of the world. There's always going to be cool people who are going to like the patrilineal Jew, ex-Muslim Jewish convert. I'm always going to find the cool people. There's always going to be someone who likes you, and there's always going to be someone who hates you. Embrace yourself. Don't hide who you are. Don't hide your past and be like, I'm not going to mention it. Don't hide that.
Thank you for those words of encouragement. Thank you. That really gave me a little boost right there. I really thank you for the bracha. I really appreciate it, and I enjoy your conversation. You coming by and speaking with us. You're a very interesting person. Thank you. I appreciate that. We got a couple more people coming in.